right, as I told you earlier, you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. As I told you earlier, Michael Vick wrote an open letter in the Players Tribune, I guess to fans, to the team, and to the city of Atlanta. And what I want to do is I want to read like some of the major parts of the letter, and I'm taking a lot of this. They actually have it already broken down in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. So here from Mike Vick on this letter, he says, on the first day of my sentence at Leavenworth Penitentiary in November 19, 2007, I made a list of 3 things that I wanted to accomplish. 1 was to make it home from prison safe. I'm sure you did. 2 was to see my grandmother again before she passed away. And 3 was to return to the Atlanta Falcons as their starting quarterback and finish what I had started. I wanted to lead the Falcons to the Super Bowl. When I tell people this, at first, I think most of them have the same reaction, that I was delusional. That's the thought I had. Mike, you really thought that after all that you were going to come back to the Falcons and start at quarterback like nothing had happened? I think people would hear that I had hung on to the hope of returning to Atlanta as their quarterback and then maybe assume that I was in denial about my entire situation, that I still wasn't able to accept the full severity of what I had done. But to be honest, that really wasn't the case at all. In those first few months of my sentence, I really did come to understand how far I had fallen. I came to understand how much hurt I had caused and how much work it was going to take to earn back just a portion of the respect that I had lost. Both people's respect for me and my respect for myself. I came to accept the consequences. But in my mind, even from a prison cell, there was at least one thing I hadn't lost. I was still the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. This is something I've been meaning to do for a while as my playing career in the NFL winds down, and as I reflect on the past and really start to contemplate where I go from here. Well, one thing I've known I always wanted to do was write a letter, and not just any letter. I wanted to write a letter to the city of Atlanta. I wanted to write to the city as a whole and to the people in it to remember, I guess, and to say thanks. And maybe also just to sort of reflect. Because without Atlanta, man, without Atlanta, I'm nothing. Without Atlanta, I may not even be here to write this today. And when the Falcons beat the Packers 2 weeks ago and made it to the Super Bowl, well, it seemed like the perfect time. It's been almost 10 years now since I last played it down for the Falcons. And for whatever reason, and it's hard to explain, there's something about this year and the season that just feels right. It seems like Atlanta, as a team, as a city, as a culture, is finally coming full circle. And in my own small way, I hope I am too. Wow. If you're not from Atlanta, if you weren't here to witness the Vick years and understand the atmosphere in this city around Falcons games, you probably just won't understand. And I say this all the time. You just won't understand. Vick was our guy. Simple as that. A lot of people nationally, and I talk to people, even a lot of people in this city. A lot of people in this city don't like Mike Vick. A lot of people don't like, the fact that he went to jail for a couple of years for fighting dogs, which is stupid as hell. How could you do that? A lot of people don't like Mike Vick, man. A lot of people are mad at Mike Vick because they feel like Mike Vick, did the team and the organization wrong. So I get it. But for the vast majority of people in this city, once again, Atlanta is a black city. Michael Vick kind of, and this is the way I explain it to people all the time, Michael Vick kind of reminded you of that cousin that just wouldn't do right. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did a bunch of knuckleheaded things. In relative terms, no big things. Michael Vick never really got in trouble before, and that was part of the argument on why I felt like his sentence was too severe. Like, he never got into real major trouble, but he used to do, like, little things. Like, you remember the little, he had the little weed and a little secret little thing in the airport, and there was a couple of little things that he did. And then just to look at him. I mean, he was personified, young, black, and don't give a F. He had the braids, he wore the baggy clothes, Timberland boots wherever he went. For the post-game press conferences, he never wore a suit like some of the other big names in the sport. And so a lot of people just didn't like his persona. It's as simple as that. But to a lot of the black people in this country, and I'm just going to keep it real, Vic kind of was like your cousin that you were hoping and praying would get it together. You know what I'm saying? He would get it together. He would be able to use the God-given abilities that he had received and, straighten up, fly right, help the Falcons win a Super Bowl. And then the way that he played the game was what we had seen and what we had hoped to see in the NFL at that level our entire lives. And we've seen how, you have to be this certain type of quarterback. You have to be 6'5". You have to be 240 pounds. And let's be honest, you have to be white. That'll help you. If you're white, 6'5", 240 pounds, that'll help your case a lot in getting a chance, an opportunity in the NFL. So what was Vic? Vic was what, 6 foot tall? Maybe 5'11"? Okay? He wasn't 240 pounds. Rocket on. He ran the football. Unlike Dan Marino. So, he was our dude. The man appeared in a T.I. video? What? That was our dude. And I think the big thing is everybody was rooting for the guy, man. And when he got in trouble, he let a lot of people down. And most people like myself, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, most people like myself, man, they can't understand how you just signed a $100 million deal and you're still associated with fighting dogs. So it hurt a lot of people. The point of it is, and in Vic writing this letter, there's this big petition going around right now where the fans want to see Vic sign for one day to the Atlanta Falcons. And then, he retires. The whole thing where they retire after one day, they sign a one-day contract and they retire. A lot of people want to see that happen with this petition, urging Arthur Blank to sign him to do that for one day. And then also, there's also been some talk to putting him on the roster. That can't even happen. I don't think that can even happen. Putting him on the roster, where he could get a ring as a Falcon. That ain't going to happen. But it just goes to the point of, he's our guy. And a lot of people, Vic wasn't even that great of a quarterback. Nationally, people say, I don't understand the infatuation, why y'all love Mike Vick so much, this, that, and the other. Because that was our dude. Simple as that. That's the best way I can describe it.